Tonight on Sports Paws, we give you in-depth coverage of the hockey-filled weekend in Pittsburgh. We also recap our spring sports, congratulate one coach on their 500th victory, and bring in analysts to break down things for us. All that and more coming up on Sports Paws right now.
Hello and welcome to Sports Paws. I'm Colin Babcock.
And I'm Camille Bova. This week has been a historic one for Quinnipiac hockey with both a national championship and the Hobey Baker Award within reach.
We also have a recap of the spring sports this week, but first let's start with the men's hockey and their weekend in Pittsburgh. The Frozen Four was set. Yale would face off against UMass Lowell in the afternoon, while Quinnipiac would take on St. Cloud State in the evening. The Huskies rolled the previous two opponents in the score of 9-2, but the Bobcats were aware. Our own Mark Spillane breaks down the action from Pittsburgh.
On Thursday night, the Quinnipiac men's ice hockey team defeated the St. Cloud State Huskies by the score of 4-1 to advance to their first ever national championship game where they will play cross-county rival Yale. Jordan Samuels-Thomas got the scoring started for the Bobcats with an early first period goal just 2 minutes into the game, and he put them on top. Then just minutes later, Jordan Samuels-Thomas would find Ben Art in front of the net where he buried a goal past Ryan Farragher and put the Bobcats up 2. Then, again, the Bobcats would strike. This time, Jeremy Langlois finding the back of the net puts Quinnipiac up by 3. That would cap the scoring for the first period. In the second period, St. Cloud State would finally get on the board as Joey Bennick would beat Eric Hartzell to make the score 3-1. But Quinnipiac would respond as Kellen Jones would burst down the right side and find the back of the net to put the Bobcats back up by 3 goals. And that was all they would need as they would shut out St. Cloud during the third period and clinch their first ever spot in the national title game. Here's Coach Rand Pecknold and Jordan Samuels-Thomas after the game.
Just wanted to come out there and just get right to my game, be strong on the walls and strong around the net, and kind of just set the pace to get myself in the game, get my teammates in the game too.
We're excited. You know, it's a proud moment for Quinnipiac University hockey program, and I'm just real proud of my guys tonight. I thought I don't think it was our best game of the year. I don't think we played perfect, but we battled and found a way to score some goals and got that nice lead early. Again, we had some struggles defensively, but Hartzell was great again. You know, I thought he was the best player on the ice tonight, and I thought we did a nice job in front of him. We probably could have cleaned up a few things, but you know, you saw why Eric Hartzell's you know, in the Hobey Baker hat trick right now. But so again, just real proud of my guys. They competed hard, they battled hard. It's a great group of guys. And it's been a great ride, and you know, we got to get one more.
Amidst the excitement of the NCAA championship, the Hobey Baker Award was also given out, for which our own Eric Hartzell was nominated for. Here's an update on the award and who won.
And the award goes to Drew LeBlanc.
And I am now joined by Brian Farrell, QBSN broadcaster and USCHO.com reporter. Brian, although Eric did not win the award, what has this run meant to him and this team?
It is just it's a testament to what hard work can get you. To be nominated for the Hobey Baker, even in the top 10, and then to make it all the way down to the final 3. We've seen a lot of goaltenders in the past get to this top 3. Brad Teason a couple of years ago for Northeastern, even David McKay a couple of years ago for Cornell. It's just so tough to be able to put up the kind of numbers that the voters want and the folks on the committee really want. And it also goes back to, you know, what you do outside the rink. Eric's an incredible human, really. That's all there is to it. I mean, the amount of work that he does in elementary schools around the area, his work with St. Baldrick's as well. So it's a testament of hard work that he's been able to make it this far. You know, it's just up against a lot of other good candidates.
And now that this run is finally over, although not the result he would have liked, obviously he would have liked to have won the award, but now that it's over, does it help the Bobcats focus for tomorrow night?
I'm not sure if it really helps or hurts in a focus standpoint, because all season long he said, you know what, it would be great to win that, and it's an honor to be here, you know, the usual thing, but he never really seemed any distraction. Didn't seem to have any distraction about the award. So in terms of a focus for tomorrow night, I don't think it's going to hurt him in any shape or form. And at any level, it may even help him a teeny bit to say, I've got something to prove to the rest of the country or to the rest of the committee, the voters, whatever it may be. But I think he proved that against St. Cloud in the semifinals because he was locked down. He slipped on the one goal that he did give up, and it left the gaping net open for Bennick. So other than that, I mean, he was stellar last night. He really was. Good positioning. It was a little maybe a little jacked up a couple of times through the first few minutes, but I think in terms of focus or a lack of, I think they're pretty much locked in right now to this national championship game.
So that does it. The announcement has been made that Drew LeBlanc from St. Cloud State wins the Hobie Baker Award.
It was not the third time the charm for Yale, but the fourth time. Quinnipiac had beaten them 3 times during the regular season by a combined score of 13-3. The battle for Connecticut's best hockey team took place yet again, this time at the Consol Energy Center. Here's Mark Spillane from the ice.
The Quinnipiac Bobcats men's ice hockey team battled its cross-county rival Yale Bulldogs from the Consol Energy Center in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, Saturday night. After nearly 40 minutes of scoreless action and back-and-forth action, the Bulldogs broke through with 3.5 seconds left in the second period on a deflection by Clinton Bourbonnais off of a turnover by the Bobcats. Then, early in the third period, Charles Orzetta snuck a shot past Hartzell to double the Bulldog lead to 2-0. A few minutes later, Andrew Miller picked up a turnover by the Bobcats, found himself on a breakaway, and wristed a shot past Hartzell to put the Bulldogs up 3. The Bobcats then pulled Hartzell for the extra attacker, but it burned them as Jesse Root found the back of the net to put the Bulldogs up by 4. The final minutes would tick off the clock, and Yale would win the national championship, their first ever national championship, as the Bobcats' dream season comes to a bitter end. Here's Coach Pecknold after the loss.
We're devastated. It was a great year, and this wasn't the way it was supposed to end. So, I'm proud of my guys. I really couldn't ask for a better group, and we weren't perfect through 2 periods, but we played well enough. We had plenty of chances, and we just couldn't score. I don't know if there's any one pivotal moment, but we had a ton of great A's in the first 2 periods, and we just couldn't finish. And sometimes the puck just won't go in the net for you, and it's unfortunate that was one of the things tonight. And then they sneaked that one in right at the end of the second, and then I thought we were fine, and then they sneaked out that second one in, and we just couldn't get a bounce tonight. But I couldn't be more proud of my players and the season that we had, and I think we were the best team in college hockey, and unfortunately for the season, we didn't prove it tonight.
And as crews clean up the fallen confetti here at Consol Energy Center in Pittsburgh, the Bobcats' dream season comes to an end, and Yale celebrates their first ever national title.
I'm here with our hockey analyst, Kenisha McFadden, to answer a few questions about the past game and the upcoming season for the Bobcats. As you know, Quinnipiac has beaten Yale 3 times already and has outscored them 13-3. That, along with the fact that Eric Hartzell did not win the Hobie Baker Award, how do you think all of this plays into the game against Yale?
Prior to Quinnipiac playing Yale in the final game, Eric Hartzell did not win the Hobie Baker Award, and that could have lowered his confidence going into the game, but I don't think that's the main reason why Quinnipiac could not defeat Yale. I think it goes back to maybe Quinnipiac underestimated Yale just a little too much. Before the game, in the NCAA tournament, Yale defeated 2 #1 seeds before playing Quinnipiac, and they just got hot in the playoffs, and that's something that you need to do when you want to win a championship.
And what do you think of Rand Pecknold's decision to pull Eric Hartzell with 6 minutes left in the game?
Although pulling the goalie may have been kind of aggressive, I just don't see it being a game changer. Quinnipiac was already down 3-0, and at that point everyone seemed to have already lacked confidence, and it was just a coach trying to find another way to win.
With 11 seniors graduating, what do you think this means for the team next year?
Well, obviously, with 11 seniors graduating from Quinnipiac this year, they're going to take a huge blow to the lineup. Offensively, you have Zach Curry, who is the team's captain, and you're going to be losing leadership there. And now you have Jeremy Langlois, who just recorded his 100th point in his college career leaving, too. Defensively, you have Zach Davies, who's arguably one of the best defensemen in the NCAA, just earning, not too long ago, the title of the best defensive defenseman in the ECAC. Also, Mike Houston, who's one of Quinnipiac's most physical players, earning 72 minutes of penalties this season. And last, but definitely not least, Eric Hartzell, who is one of the country's best goalies in college hockey.
All right, well, thanks for coming.
Thank you.
This year, the men's ice hockey team has 11 graduating seniors. We say goodbye to Captain Zach Curry, Hobie Baker finalist Eric Hartzell, and #1 defenseman Zach Davies. Next season, we look to Soren Jansen, Alex Barron, and Mike Gardig to step up for the Bobcats. As for recruits, we have Connor Clifton coming in as a true freshman with his brother Tim Clifton. He will help out on defense. Hopefully this set of brothers will have to mirror the chemistry of the Jones twins.
With the men's ice hockey season officially over, all eyes turn to the spring sports teams. We're going to head to our first break here on Sports Paws, but when we return, we'll tell you which spring team is headed to the Nationals. Also, Giovanni Mio will stop by to break down the men's lacrosse team. Stay with us.
I could really go for a Ray and Mike sub right now.
Come to Ray and Mike's and try our Philly chicken with cheese for just over $4, giant cheesesteak subs, and mouth-watering boar's head sandwiches for as low as $4.75. Q-Cash accepted just a mile down the road on Whitney, here at Ray and Mike's.
Women's rugby trumped Temple University Saturday, April 6th. With a 44-0 shutout, the Bobcats moved on to the national round of 16 in Annapolis, Maryland. In their next game, the Bobcats topped Lee University 25-20. With the win, they advanced to the national quarterfinals. In the quarterfinals, the women's rugby team beat Appalachian State 22-10. And with that win, they improved to 14-0 overall in the season and have moved on to the national semifinals, which will be Friday, May 3rd in Stanford, California.
The men's lacrosse team has continued to slump. They have lost 5 out of their 6 games since starting the season hot. Quinnipiac hosted Harvard Crimson Tuesday in an attempt to end their recent slide. Were the Bobcats able to finally get back to their winning ways, or would the Crimson have something to say about it? Here we go, atop of the Quinnipiac Turf Complex. Quinnipiac taking on the Harvard Crimson. Kick it off early on in the first quarter. It's going to be Peter Schwartz with the first goal for Harvard. Rips it by the goalie there. They're up 1-0. Back the other way now, the Bobcats on the offense. Basile Kosaros pass to Dylan Webster for the behind-the-back goal. It's 1-1. Now coming back the other way, it's going to be Harvard. Deke Burns passes off to Devin Dwyer, who puts past the goalie. Harvard up 2-1. Harvard once again on the offense. This time the pass is going to go to Alex White, who whips it past the goaltender easy. Harvard up 4-3. QU is now passing. They're on the man up. They're going to pass it all the way around. Eventually find Brendan Wilbur, who rips it by the goalie. Quinnipiac narrowing the lead. It's now 5-4. Bobcats on the offense again. Pass comes from behind the net to Pat Corcoran, who whips it by. It's 7-5. We're at halftime. Kick it off now in the third quarter. Brendan Wilbur with the shot. That's his second goal of the game. Harvard only leads 10-6. Harvard now scrambling for the ball. He's eventually going to find Brandon Newman, and he really makes it look easy with this bounce shot. Oh, what a goal right there. Harvard leads 11-6. Quinnipiac late in the game now trying to clear it. But they're going to lose possession. It'll be picked off and eventually set up to Devin Dwyer for his second goal of the game. Harvard rolled Quinnipiac in this one. Final score is 18-8. The two captains shook hands after the game. After losing at home to Harvard, the Bobcats traveled south to take on Sacred Heart. The Bobcats took the lead early, scoring 3 goals in the first quarter. They led 5-4 at the half. In the third quarter, Sacred Heart took over by scoring 7 goals, 2 of them by Cody Marquise. The Bobcats would not go away, though, as Michael Sag stepped up and tied the game at 12. Double overtime would not be enough, though. In triple overtime, it was Michael Sag again, scored and gave the Bobcats a 13-12 victory. With the win, the Bobcats are tied with Robert Morris and Sacred Heart for second place in the NEC. Earlier today, our men's lacrosse analyst Giovanni Mio sat down with Camille to discuss the up and down weekend.
I'm here with Giovanni Mio to answer a few questions about our men's lacrosse team. So Gio, in the game against Harvard, the score at halftime was 7-5, and the final score of the game was 18-8. What exactly happened to make the Bobcats fall apart?
Well, Camille, I'll tell you one thing. The men's lacrosse team just seemed to lose momentum all the way through the third and fourth quarters. And in the third quarter, Harvard scored 7 unanswered goals and actually ended the third quarter with 6 goals to Quinnipiac's 1 and proceeded to even endure the beatdown in the fourth. So what happened? Pretty much the Bobcats just couldn't defend around to 8 or to 13. And whenever any Harvard player got the ball, it just looked like Gil Conn wasn't ready for any of the shots coming straight toward the cage.
And now the Sacred Heart game went into a triple overtime. Do you think the Bobcats will be able to take that momentum into the end of their season?
I think any overtime victory for any sport is a great momentum shifter. If you look at other sports like hockey and basketball, whenever somebody makes a game-winning shot, especially in the playoffs, it's a big deal, and that really boosts your momentum thinking, if I can do this, you can pretty much do anything you want to. So I think with this type of victory against a team like Sacred Heart, that should be able to help them not only finish out the season strong, but potentially a possible playoff push.
And do you see this team making the playoffs?
Yes, I do, Camille, because their last opponent, the Wagner Seahawks, are last in the conference and have not won a conference game all season, whereas Sacred Heart, Quinnipiac, and Robert Morris are in a 3-way tie for second place with Bryan's in first. So the Bobcats have a chance, and they have a very easy opportunity to take advantage by being the worst team in the conference. So I expect the Bobcats to be in the postseason when it's all said and done.
All right, well, thanks for breaking this down for us.
Anytime.
Women's lacrosse hit the road this weekend to take on Monmouth and Mount St. Mary. They fell to Monmouth 11-7, and senior Leanne Toomey netted 3 goals for the Bobcats. The Bobcats went to halftime trailing by just 1 goal, but Monmouth pulled ahead in the second half, and with the win, they remain undefeated in the NEC. And from one loss to another, Quinnipiac fell again to Mount St. Mary. Despite Kyra Oshwick's game high of 5 points, the Bobcats were unable to pull through a win. With this loss, Quinnipiac falls below 500 in conference play and will need 2 wins for a chance in the NEC tournament. Quinnipiac is back in action April 19th against Robert Morris University. And we're going to take a break here on Sports Paws, but when we return, we bring in Tom Albanese as a softball analyst and have Arthur Lane give us the tweet of the week. Stay with us.
I could really go for a Ray and Mike sub right now.
Come to Ray and Mike's and try our Philly chicken with cheese for just over $4, giant cheesesteak subs, and mouth-watering boar's head sandwiches for as low as $4.75. Q-Cash accepted just a mile down the road on Whitney, here at Ray and Mike's.
After only scoring 5 runs in 4 games against Sacred Heart, the Quinnipiac baseball team hit the road for the week. On Tuesday, the team took on Rhode Island and lost 7-4. Connor Foreman of URI drove in 2 runs and scored 1 to lead the way. Then on Saturday, a doubleheader took place at Bryant. The Bobcats lost the first contest 3-2 and dropped the second as well 4-3. Brian Ruditz had 3 hits in the early game, but the Bobcats couldn't drive him home. In the later game, John Mullen carried Bryant with 2 hits and a run scored. On Sunday, the teams met up yet again for another doubleheader. Bryant pitcher Craig Schlittler shut out the Bobcats en route to a 4-0 win. Bryant then went on to win the final game of the 4-game series 10-5 behind the bat of Kevin Brown, who drove in 2.
With a 6-4 win over Fairfield, Quinnipiac extended their winning streak to 3 games. With the score tied 4-4 heading into the 7th, it was freshman Danny Edmonds who knocked a go-ahead RBI single, and then sophomore pitcher Hannah Lindley, who retired the last 2 Stag batters. This left Quinnipiac with a lot of momentum as they headed into their game Saturday against Wagner. The Bobcats were outscored by a combined score of 8-4 throughout the first 5 innings of both games. Sophomore Jordan Paolucci was vital to the team's success as she went deep for the 3-run homer and walked twice in the first game. She also picked up another hit and an RBI in the game as she knocked in the 4 RBI through the series. The pitching effort by the Bobcats was split by sophomore Hannah Lindley and freshman Sydney Roby. The Bobcats extended both games with the win and continued their streak into Sunday's games against Sacred Heart. Bobcat managed to score 2 more back-to-back wins against Sacred Heart, with the first game 6-0 and the second 4-3. They head back out to the field Tuesday, April 16th to take on Fairfield.
Hello and welcome. I'm now joined by the QU softball analyst, Thomas Albanese. Tom, it's good to have you here on the show.
Well, thank you for having me.
Well, Tom, let's get out of here. The QU softball team started off the season with a dismal record of 7-23. They've really been tearing it up, winning 7 straight. what's been the reason for their success?
Well, a couple things, Colin. First of all, as you mentioned, the winning streak. During this winning streak, their starting pitching has definitely improved. 4 out of the last 7 starting pitchers have gone the distance, all 7 innings. So really strong pitching by this team in the last 7 games. Also, another thing is their hitting. Alex Alba and Nikki Barba, two players near the top of that batting order, both batting over 300 right now, so they're definitely contributing, as is the rest of the lineup. So those are 2 things that have helped this team during the 7-game winning streak.
Yeah, you mentioned Alex Alba. She's been great so far for this team. And with those 7 wins, QU is now 4th in the Northeast Conference. Tell me, Tom, are they a contender or are they a pretender?
Well, it's tough that you say that because, I know early in the season they got off to a rough start. So then I would have said a pretender. Now that this winning streak has come into play, they're starting to pick up the slack. They're starting to get back on their feet, going in the right direction. And so now I'm going to say that they are, in fact, a contender. Being in 4th place right now, as you mentioned, in the Northeast Conference, this team is getting better all around the board, as I mentioned earlier. And when you have a good schedule coming up against an out-of-conference with Harvard, but then you got 2 teams, Bryant and Fairleigh Dickinson, who are lower than you in the Northeast Conference. So that should play into the Bobcats' favor. But the one thing I will say is, what will the Bobcats do when they play Central Connecticut State here in Hampden in 2 weeks? They are currently in 1st place right now in the Northeast Conference. So if they can do well with the games upcoming and that weekend against Central Connecticut State, then I'm going to say they're totally a contender in the Northeast Conference this season.
That will be a big game, Tom, and we'll see what happens. One more quick question before you go. A new tradition with the softball team are walk-up songs. Each player has their own individual song chosen that they want to hear when they walk up to bat. So tell me, Tom, what would be your song when you go up to the plate?
Well, if I had a walk-up song here at Quinnipiac, it would definitely be "Not Afraid" by Eminem, because Eminem is my favorite artist that I listen to. I'm into really rock and rap, are my 2 favorite genres for music. And this song basically says, when you go up to a challenge, don't be afraid of it, just face it, go all the way, do your best, and succeed. So those are the type of the lyrics that are within the song. So I feel motivated with them when I work out and when I do other stuff as well. So I'm going to go "Not Afraid" by Eminem.
All right, great choice, Tom. Thank you very much for stopping by.
Thank you.
Back to you.
Quinnipiac's men's and women's tennis head coach Mike Quitko reached a milestone this past Saturday as the Bobcats swept St. Francis University to snag his 500th career win. Quitko is a 14-time Conference Coach of the Year honoree and is the first coach in the history of Quinnipiac athletics to earn 500 victories. The men's match finished first as Sebastian Barbaro defeated Washi Gervais to solidify Quitko's 500th win. Quinnipiac earned the first point of the match when Fahum and Garrett Lane clinched doubles with an 8-6 victory at number 1. In the end, St. Francis needed to forfeit at number 6 singles and number 3 doubles. The women's matchup finished when Rachel Cantor defeated 6-2 and 6-0 at number 1 singles. Quinnipiac notched the doubles with a clean sweep, followed by 3 straight wins in singles. The men's tennis team also shut out Hofstra University Sunday afternoon 7-0, and the women also captured a 5-2 win. The teams are back in action Tuesday, April 16th against Stony Brook University.
#BeatYale and #Frozen4 were both trending on Twitter during the national championship game. Continuing on our new segment, Arthur Lane scanned the Twitter world to find this week's Tweet of the Week.
Hi, I'm Arthur Lane, and this is your Sports Paws Tweet of the Week. And it goes to Jeremy Langlois, senior on the QU men's ice hockey team, and he said, "Thank you to all the fans and supporters of #QU Hockey. It's been the best 4 years of my life. I'll never forget the boys and staff here." Langlois registered his 100th career point Thursday night against the Huskies of St. Cloud State in the Bobcats' 4-1 victory. If you'd like your tweet to be Tweet of the Week, tweet at Q30Sports. I'm Arthur Lane. See you next week.
That is going to do it for us here tonight on Sports Paws. Make sure you tune in next week, same time, same place.
For more information, check out our website at www.q30.org and also make sure to follow us on Twitter at Q30Sports. Good night, everyone.